All right, what a fun week of tennis. We're going to talk about what just happened in Stuttgart, what just happened in Rouen, what's going to happen in Madrid. And at the end, a few people asked, so I just want to talk a little bit more about why I'm starting this show. So episode 2, let's get it started with Stuttgart. The lead thing here to talk about is obviously Elena Rybakina. It's her second title in Stuttgart, and what a week this was. I mean, it almost didn't happen. Quarterfinals against Leila Fernandez, she was down match point. She was just in huge trouble against Leila, and she found herself with her back against the wall, powered through, and then ended up winning the tournament. Aside from Leila, her run was really straightforward. It was 3 easy wins against 3 not easy opponents. Schneider, Andreeva, Muhova, three great players on clay. It's just a tough trio of opponents, and Elena handled them very easily. And look, it's hardly a surprise at this point. We know the run that she's on. Dating back 6 months, nobody's hotter than her. We all know the specifics, but let's look back on it anyways, just in case. There's 4 titles in 6 months. Ningbo, Melbourne, WTA Finals, and then obviously this week in Stuttgart. I think what's more impressive, though, than the number of titles is the number of players that have beaten her. She's won 4 titles in this span, and in that same span, only 3 different players have beaten her in a completed match. Muhova, Mboko, and then Sabalenka twice. And it gets even more impressive than that, because those 3 players that have beaten her, Elena's beaten them all. That's right, nobody on tour in the last 6 months has a winning record against Elena Rybakina. The ones that have beaten her, she's gotten them back just as many times. And look, she's first in the race right now. At some point, we're going to have to start talking about the idea of her as world number 1 being less of a thought and more of a possibility, or possibly even certainty. She's got a lead on Sabalenka in the race. She has this big 1,500 point cushion at finals that's going to last her this entire year. And look, the points are just going to keep coming for her. I said in my clay preview last week that she's the most underrated clay courter on tour. She went on again and proved it. This is now the 4th year in a row that she has a title on clay. Nobody else on tour has that. Now she gets to go play 2 1000s and a slam. That's 4,000 potential points on the line. And with her being in the peak form of her career, on a surface where she kind of gets overlooked, you know, people look at her as a threat, but like, oh, at least it's not on grass. At least it's not on hard court. She could really rack the points up quickly here and really make up that gap for world number 1 really soon. I don't think she'll be there by the end of clay season, but if you told me by the start of the hard court swing that things are really close and we could be in for a really fun race, I would 100% believe you. And I actually expect that to happen. I think going into the hard court swing, it's going to be neck and neck, and we're going to be battling for it every single event. But look, back to the immediate future. Is there anybody right now that you would pick in a head-to-head against her on clay? I realize tennis isn't played in a vacuum, so this is kind of a pointless exercise, but we're going to do it anyways. Assuming equal rest, equal health, is there anybody besides Sabalenka that you would pick over her? You might be at home saying Coco, and it's not something I can really disagree with you on, but I really hesitate to say that she would beat Elena just because it's a head-to-head that seems forbidden at this point. I'm starting to doubt we're ever going to see it again. Sabalenka, you're picking over Rybakina. Coco, you might pick over her. There's nobody else. Like, even Iga at this point, I don't think you can in good conscience say she can beat Elena. That's not to say she can't, but if you and a friend are flipping a coin to see who gets which side in a potential Iga versus Elena match, whoever gets the Elena side is going to feel a lot better about themselves. Look, all this to say the obvious. The tour's in danger right now, and I think Elena's coming for number 1. Let's switch gears, though. Let's go to Rouen, where Marta Kostyuk won her 2nd career title. She was just fantastic all week. Every time there's a little bit of a slip-up, she did insanely well to recover. And I think the best example, just like Elena, we're going to look at the quarterfinal for Marta, where she played Ann Lee. She got off to such a hot start there, going up 6-0, and going up 2-0 in the second set. Seems like she's just cruising, and then Ann Lee claws back. Ann Lee gets a second set in a tiebreak. Ann Lee gets up a break, and all of a sudden, Marta's down 1-3 in the 3rd set. Mentally, this is just such a tough spot to be in, especially when you think about what she said after her first round match, where she said she's honored to be the 1 seed. It's such a great feeling, but it also comes with this sense of expectation. And this is the first time that she's dealt with that expectation, where she's expected at a tournament to win every single match. And she's expected at that tournament to win the tournament. When she's playing with the weight of that on her shoulders, and she gets in this tough situation against Ann Lee, who's a very good opponent and can quickly take the ball away from you, for Marta to then turn a 1-3 deficit in the 3rd into a 6-3 win, get into the semifinals, and look, she said it herself. It wasn't necessarily a comeback if you look at the score, but mentally it was a major comeback, and you could feel it at home. It just felt like a big moment for her. And look, after that, got through the semis with ease, straight sets in the final against a hot opponent, and now her first title in 3 years. She had lost 3 straight finals, so to get that monkey off her back has to feel so amazing. So look, you can't ask for a better start to clay for her. And when I put her in the top 10 of my power rankings last week, I expected her to win this tournament, but expecting something to happen and it actually happening, two very different things. I feel like right now, nobody wants to face her, or at least nobody should want to face her. And especially now that she has shown to herself and to everybody that she can deal with the pressure, deal with expectations, and come out on the other side of it better, and with a big trophy in hand. Just an amazing week for Marta. So happy for her. I'm really excited to see what comes next in Madrid. She has a great draw, could do some damage, a lot of points to defend. Let's see how it goes. And look, if you watched the show last week, you might be thinking to yourself, he picked Marta, he picked Elena. That's a 2 for 2 week. But if you watch, you'll also notice I picked both the doubles champions right too. So that's a 4 for 4 start, 100% hit rate. Surely we will never get a pick wrong on this show if any trends are to be followed. But speaking of doubles, how about we get right into it with Stuttgart, where Nicole Melichar-Martinez and Ludmila Samsonova won their third title together. And this was really a great run from them. They beat a hometown team in round 1. Sure, it's an easy matchup on paper, but you never feel good about facing a hometown team in front of a hometown crowd. Then they beat Fernandez and Stolar, very tough opponents. And then in the semifinals, Perez and Schurz, that's a really good team. Went to the tiebreak third set, and Nikki and Samsonova came out on top there. And in the final, kind of the match that I thought would be the final, I did not see it going like this. They beat Ostapenko and Schwei 6-1, 6-1. What a blowout. And like I said, they're a great team. I expected them to win this, but I didn't expect it to go like this. That's 4 great wins to a well-earned title. Like I said, third is their team. And for being such an irregular pair, that's kind of amazing. For Nikki, it's her 19th title, which is obviously coming up close on the 20 title milestone, which is amazing. But I think under the radar here, this is also her 6th clay title, which puts her close to some really stellar competition, as only 5 players on tour have more clay titles than her. And look, she's 32 years old right now. All 5 players above her are 32 or older. We talk a lot about American success on clay, and it's mostly on the men's side that it's lamented. On the women's side, we have a lot of talent. One of the main talents is definitely Nicole Melichar-Martinez. A 6th clay title, 19th title. Hats off to her. And then over in Rouen, Lechkova and Skoch finally won the title together. From Lechkova, it's her first ever title. Such a big reason to celebrate. And look, I hate to say they needed to win this tournament. I hate to say anybody ever needs to win a tournament, but I think mentally they kind of did. They've had such a great clay season so far. They started off with a semi and then made 3 straight finals, and they lost them all. It's really awesome to get to 3 straight finals. It's not so awesome to lose them all. That scar tissue can really build on you and stick with you. And I even felt a little bit here in the final when they win the first set. Then in the second set, they get down early, and all of a sudden you're down a break, and you're staying down a break, and then it gets towards the end of the set, and you're like, oh, here we go again. But then all of a sudden they clutched it out, closed the gap, won in straight sets. After this title, they're now both top 50 in the world, so they're going to be able to get into bigger events. And as a team, they're number 11 in the race. They crashed this top 8 party. Could they be like kind of the unexpected dark horse this season? I mean, they have all the momentum in the world right now. I just know if I was a team on tour, I would not want to face them coming up. So congrats to these two. Another amazing week, this time ending in smiles. Going back to the singles though, Maja Chwalinska in Oeiras won her third 125 title. I mean, frankly, she would be one of my stars of the week, which is a segment I'm going to do coming up. But since she won the title, I don't need an excuse to talk about her. I can just say, look at how awesome this run was. She lost her first set, and then after that won 10 straight sets to clinch this title. But saying she won 10 straight sets doesn't even establish how dominant it was. In her last 4 matches, she lost 11 games total. 11 games, that's pretty convincing. And this run was not a cupcake run by any means. 2 top 100 wins, 2 more top 150 wins, and then Robin Montgomery, who her ranking's low right now just because she missed so much time with injury. But when Robin Montgomery's on, she's an easy top 150 player, potentially even top 100 depending on the day. And especially on clay, she's a great player. So rattling off 5 straight wins in such dominant fashion against this level of competition is just something so amazing for Maja. And this also comes off a week from her great clay season where she represented Poland for the Billie Jean King Cup, and she didn't get to play singles there. Could argue she probably should have, but she did play doubles. Played a match that lasted over 3 hours against the Kitchenoks. It was one of the best matches of the tournament in front of an amazing crowd in Poland. So coming off that right into Oeiras where she wins the title, she's got to be feeling really good about herself. This run got her into the top 120 for the first time, career high number 118 now, and she's in striking distance of the top 100. I'm not going to say that she's definitely going to get there right away, but look, she can get there this week. That top 100 cutoff is less than 100 points away for her, and that 100 points more achievable than you may think. She'll be right back here in Oeiras this week, trying to go back to back in another 125 here, and if she goes back to back, bam, top 100 player. It is a tough field though, we will get into that. But before we get into that, I do want to focus on one more champ this week, Sara Sorribes Tormo. It's her first title since 2023. She won a 75K this week from qualifying, no less. But look, the story here is not necessarily about what she did on court this week. It's about what she's done off court. leading up to it. Last year in 2025, she decided to take a mental health break. She stepped away from the court for a very, very long period of time. She came back at the end of 2025, and since then she just hasn't found her footing. She hasn't gone out of the second round of any tournament. She fell out of the top 500, and look, at a certain point you have to dig your heels in and go get some points, and she did just that this week. Got a few top 200 wins, got back in the winner's circle. I feel so happy for her. See somebody have success after taking time off like that for mental health reasons. It's not something that's common on tour. It's becoming more common, don't get me wrong, but it still takes a lot of guts to be like, I'm gonna step away, I'm not gonna play tournaments, I'm gonna give up my points, I'm gonna give up money, I'm gonna focus on getting right. So to see somebody do that and come back and win a title and get back on track, it's amazing. Now, as for the rest of the tour, because guess what? There are people we'll talk about that didn't win titles this week. I'm going to try a new segment out here where we focus on the 3 stars of the week. It's a little bit hockey style, going 3 stars in their tradition. First star for me, definitely Eva Lise. You may look at it and say, oh, she only won 1 match this week. But again, to me, just like SST, the story is about what happened leading into this week. Eva hurt her knee in Australia at the United Cup. She won the first set against Iga, ended up hurting her knee, tried to tough out Melbourne, couldn't do it, and then took some time off. Fast forward to Indian Wells, she still has this knee. She's trying to power through it. And I was there watching her practices. She could barely move, but dang, she was out there trying. And every single day, she got a little bit better, a little bit quicker. All of a sudden, she starts sliding, able to move side to side a little bit. She gets into Miami, she decides to give it a go. And yeah, she lost the first round there, but to get back on court so quickly was definitely a win. And she goes to Charleston, wins the first set against Katie Volynets, and then you see the level drop. She's just maybe not quite ready yet. So with that in mind, she comes into Stuttgart, no wins in a few months. She draws Paula Badosa, and she goes down big. Not where you want to be. You don't want to be down a set in 2 breaks. And look, Paula Badosa in the second set, like I said, up 2 breaks. She had points to make it 5-1. What did Eva do? Buckled down and kept fighting just like she always does. Fired back, won the second, won the third, and bam, you win the match. First match in 3 months. You could just see how much it meant to her to get that win in front of her home crowd. It's a special moment that on the surface looks like it's just a win, but behind it, there's so much more meaning to it. Then my second star of the week, it's a little bit more straightforward. I'm going to go with Zeynep Sonmez. She got her first ever top 10 win this week. That is so much cause to celebrate. She got through the qualifying in Stuttgart, then beat Jasmine Paolini to make it to round 2. Not only did she make it to round 2, she made it to her new career high, number 67 in the world. Her game has been making such big improvements to me since US Open. And you could see at US Open last year, she was trying to evolve her game a little bit, mix things up. And that's always a great thing to see, but it also can come with drawbacks sometimes. As you're trying these new things out, it's easy to rack up losses. And look, she fell out of the top 100 coming into this year. But to start this year, she's had a few really good runs, a few tentpole wins. I mean, Alexandrova, Kessler, Paolini, these are really good players that she's beating. And the kind of wins that you get when you're making a point of like, I've arrived. It's just the things you want to see from somebody that's on the come up and trying to prove themselves as a mainstay on tour. Second star of the week, easily Zeynep Sonmez. Love to see a first top 10 win. And then the third star, definitely the easiest one to give out. I don't think anybody will be surprised by this one, but it's Veronica Podres. It just had to be her. Made it through qualifying in Rouen, put a beat down on Sloane that when it happened, people were kind of like, oh my goodness, here goes Sloane. Why is she still trying to play? Then you watch that match. It wasn't Sloane playing badly. It was Podres just taking the racket out of Sloane's hand. And she wins a tussle against Cochereto, which is the best win of her career and such a great win to have, especially on clay, because Cochereto's a great player. Then what she did to Sloane, she did it to Katie Bolter. And then bam, all of a sudden you're in the final and she held her own against Marta. All week she was showing impressive power, impressive control. She was finding winners, finding angles, and just keeping these players that maybe aren't the best movers at a huge disadvantage. And yeah, to me, this run was totally out of nowhere. It was also emblematic of a little bit why I wanted to start this show. A year ago, she was just outside of the top 450. Just had turned 18 and was going through a little bit of a losing streak, a little bit of a rough patch. I think she was trying to play up a little bit and maybe going too far past her level. So she dropped back down. She got more matches in. She grew her game, racked up some wins. Gets up to just outside the top 200. Comes into this week in Rouen. Nobody's talking about her, no expectations. And then bam, goes from top 200 to finishing it inside the top 150. She had 0 top 150 wins heading into this week. She was 0-7. This week she got 3 of those wins, including her first top 50 win, like I said, against Cochereto. This was a super remarkable week from her. The third star easily goes to her. I'm going to keep an eye on whatever she does next. This could be a fluke. This could be a sign of things to come. Whatever happens, I'll be watching. Okay, so we've kind of looked back a lot it might be time to look forward, right? Let's go to Madrid. First Clay 1000 of the year. I'm pumped. As far as contenders go in Madrid, it's Sabalenka's to lose. I think she has the inside track to defend her title. I think aside from her, Andreeva has a really good chance to win this. And then the rest of the top four, Rybakina, Goff, Swiatek, I think any of these 5 players can win this tournament. If we got a winner outside the top 5, I would be shocked. The story here, though, in Madrid to start off is Sabalenka. 2 of the 5 players I listed as the wild cards of Clay season, the unseeded ones that top players won't want to run into, were Peyton Stearns and Luis Busan. And well, those 2 are playing each other in round 1 here in Madrid, and the winner of that gets to play Sabalenka. So Sabalenka's first match on clay will be against a dangerous clay specialist, and that is just not a position anybody wants to be in. And both those players have power too. This isn't somebody that Sabalenka can just hit off the court. They're going to be able to do a little bit of bullying on their own terms. However, with that said, I'm not too worried about her. I think there are a lot of top players who I would be worried about in this position, but not Sabalenka. Maybe she'll drop a set to Stearns, but I just can't see her losing the match. And then once she gets through it, it's going to be smooth sailing for her to at least the semifinals. The rest of her quarter is just not going to be a competition for her, especially in Madrid, where this is arguably her best tournament. The other big story here is Iga, another former champion in Madrid, who actually beat Sabalenka here in the final. Now look, for her, Stuttgart didn't go so well, and we all saw it. Yeah, she beat Siegmund, but the loss against Andreeva was really disheartening for me. I understand that with a new coach comes time. We need to give her time to make these changes to evolve her game. But after that early loss in Miami, she had, a month to prepare for this tournament, a month to play on clay, a month to let these changes set in, a month to mentally reset. And then she comes out, and it's not just that she lost to Andreeva. It was not the most shocking result. It was the way she lost to Andreeva, being the way that she has lost so many matches of late. Coming out strong, winning the first set, and then just kind of falling apart. I think that run proved that I was probably too optimistic in my clay preview. I had her number 2. I had her winning Rome and Roland Garros. I'm going to give her Madrid before I drop her back a little bit here, because like I said, we got to give her a little bit of time. But if she doesn't make the semis here, I'm going to reconsider my picks a lot. Let's look at this path to the semis. Let's see if she can do it. I mean, she has Kasatkina first, which is a match she should win, but Kasatkina troubled her earlier this year. Then you have Ann Lee, who is a ball basher that Iga hates to face. And then Eva Jovic, who's a young star that is the type of player that Iga should have no problems with. But we've established the results that Iga should be having are not the results that we've been seeing. So we just have to temper these expectations a little bit. And if she does get through those 3 rounds, her quarterfinal is brutal. She got Andreeva or Svitolina. Whoever wins that match between the 2 of them, if Iga can get through that and make the semifinal, that is why I would keep her as the favorite for Rome. But I'm not going to predict her to get through that. I think Andreeva would beat her. I think Elena would probably beat her. So that leads me to my official predictions for Madrid. In this half, I'm going to go with Sabalenka to get through to the semis and beat Mira Andreeva there. And then on the other half, I'm going to go with Coco Gauff to beat Maddie Keys in the semis. And that leads us to a final of Sabalenka and Coco, a rematch of last year's final. And I think once again, Sabalenka gets it done in straight sets. You may be thinking, Maddie Keys, well, I can't go chalk every time, right? Got to mix something in occasionally. And look, I think she's had good enough runs on clay where picking her to go deep is not something I feel too badly about. I'm also operating under the assumption here that Rybakina is not going to be 100% coming off a title run in Stuttgart and coming into Madrid with a very tough draw and having to deal with these condition changes. I mean, if you look at this little group that Rybakina is in the draw, it's Rybakina, Keys, Ostapenko, Kinwen, and even Elena Kova's in there lurking as kind of a troublemaker on clay. Only one of these players is even going to make it to the quarterfinals. I think whoever does that will get into the semis. But look, I don't want to pick chalk. I think of the top seeds, Elena's draw is clearly the toughest. And combining that with maybe the little bit of fatigue that she has coming off Stuttgart, that's why I'm going to go with Maddie here. But anyways, yeah, Sabalenka in 2 over Gauff as the final. As for a round 1 match to look forward to, I already alluded to it, but it's Stearns versus Busan, easy. 2 of the most fun players to watch on clay. 2 great forehands. 2 players we haven't seen play on red clay yet. Unfortunately, though, we don't actually know if Busan's going to play. I mean, she's in the draw, which is a step further than she's gotten on this injury recovery so far. But until I see her on court, I'm not going to be 100% sold that she's playing. So as a backup, if that match doesn't end up happening, I'm going to go with Siniakova versus Freck as the best round 1 match to look forward to. It's 2 fun play styles, haven't played each other in a few years. Match I would really look forward to watching. On the double side, I'd really love to make a prediction prediction, but I can't really do that right now. First reason being that the draw isn't out, but the second reason being is once the singles draws come out, the entry list for doubles just completely disappears from the website. So not only can I not see who's playing who, but I can't even see who's playing. Just off memory, I know a few of the teams that are in it, and obviously we have irregular pairs. But I mean, for example, like Alex Krunic isn't going to be playing, and that leaves Danilina with a new partner, which I believe is Asia Muhammad. But Krunic and Danilina are arguably the best team on tour this year. So yeah, having them missing is a really big deal and just opens it up for maybe somebody to come in and surprise some people. Without seeing a draw, the pick I'm going to have to make is Siniakova and Townsend, which is, yes, a very boring pick. And maybe once the draw comes out, I see some hurdles, I see maybe some tough spots where I can see it then opening up for maybe a Perez and Schurz or Dabrowski and Stefani. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But then there's one last thing this week. It's not Madrid. We're back in Oeiras with a second straight 125. Some very fun names here. Fran Jones, Ioane Wei, Bianca Andreescu, Storm Hunter, Daria Simonistaya. Heck, even Maja Chwalinska, maybe she's going back-to-back with her title. It's really hard to pick against Maja after just seeing her on these courts completely dominate for 5 straight matches. But doing it for 10 straight matches is really, really hard. So I kind of feel like I should pick somebody else. And because of that, I'm going to go with Daria Simonistaya to get through this draw and win her third 125 title. Okay, so I think that kind of covers everything I want to cover on tour. I'm going to end this video by talking a little bit about why I decided to start this show. I got some questions about it, so I know there's some people that are at least curious. A lot of you may not be curious and may not care, which is why I'm sticking at the end. So why did I start this show? So obviously last week was my first episode, but it wasn't the first episode I made. I previously recorded about a 15-minute long episode that was just about the state of WTA media. I covered a lot of different topics, a lot of different stakeholders. Then I just decided not to post it because I didn't want this to be a channel about negativity. I didn't want to start by being extremely negative. I want this to be a positive place to talk about women's tennis. One of the things I talked about in the video quite a bit was Sam Querrey and Nothing Major, and specifically how I was surprised about Charleston's decision to make them tournament ambassadors. I'm sure they would be a great fit in Houston or Delray or Dallas or some other ATP tournament. But the bottom line is they don't cover women's tennis, nor do they show any interest in it, and sometimes they even show active disdain for it. But in the end, I chose to keep all that to myself and focus on what I want the show to be about instead of starting off negatively. But then this week, there was a video posted by Nothing Major, in which Sam Querrey posed a question to the women of the Players Box: what's more interesting, the parity of the women's game or the top 2 dominance on the men's side? And Jenny Brady answered by saying that watching Alcaraz and Sinner win every week is boring, to which Sam Querrey looked honestly offended by the answer, and I'm sure he was playing it up a little bit for the cameras, but it still struck a little bit of a nerve, and I did speak out about it, and I saw a lot of other people speak out about it too. And I think it ended up being a perfect launching pad into what I'm about to say, which is this show is for the people that agree with Jenny Brady. This is for those who want to spend their time watching women's tennis. If you enjoy watching the ATP, that's great. I'm not going to tell you how to enjoy your tennis. I'm not blind. I know that the ATP is more popular. I know that people love watching Alcaraz and Sinner. And look, at the end of the day, tennis is tennis. We're all on the same team here. But the men's side is just not how I prefer to spend my time. The way I look at it, there are hundreds of players playing every single week on the Pro Tour. Just look at this last week, for example. There were 2 tour level events, 1 125 level event, 11 ITFs. All of these tournaments had full fields in singles, full fields in doubles. And how many of those players were recognized? By the WTA, by broadcasters, by non-traditional media like podcasts or YouTube. To me, there's just this really big gap between what is out there and what's being talked about. Now look, I completely understand why a lot of it goes ignored. Resources are very finite. Time is really limited. And for a lot of these people and organizations, they're just trying to make money. So they talk about what's popular. So instead of unrealistically hoping for somebody out there to change their habits to talk about things that I want to hear about, I decided why not just do it myself. Got all the time in the world right now, and I need a creative outlet to keep myself from going crazy. So why not? Let's do it. Am I going to cover the WTA perfectly? Heck no. I'm just one guy doing this in a sea of endless tennis and just trying to watch as much of it as I can and talk about as much of it as I can. But like I said, it's an endless sea of tennis. I can promise you this though, I'm going to try my best. So if all of that sounds like something you want to see, I hope I'll see you next week for episode 3, and I hope I'll keep seeing you in the future. I really appreciated all the positive comments and feedback about episode 1. It was beyond anything I ever expected. If you have any feedback, comments, questions, literally anything, leave them in the comments of this. And yeah, I'll just keep trying to get better and keep trying to evolve the show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.